Okay, so we're diving into some really tactical stuff today.
Yeah.
We're talking all about how to pick the perfect time for your next webinar. And to help us crack the code, we're looking at this recent article from LiveWebinar, which honestly has some insights I hadn't even considered before.
Yeah, it's really easy to get caught up in our own routines and forget that everyone else is on a different schedule.
Right. Like I might love a 2 p.m. webinar, but is that really what's best for our audience? Probably not.
Probably not, and that's what this article really emphasizes. Like, first and foremost, you gotta know your audience.
Makes sense.
Are you talking to B2B? Are they glued to their desks all day? Or is it more of a B2C audience that might be checking in on evenings or weekends?
I'm already seeing why just defaulting to what works for MEE is not the best strategy.
Not at all. The article even made this point about how the actual product or topic you're focusing on can influence the timing too.
Oh, that's interesting. Give me an example.
So let's say you're promoting baby products, right? Hitting parents with a webinar on Wednesday afternoon when they're juggling a million things might not be as effective as, say, a Saturday morning when they might actually have a free moment.
That makes so much sense. It's all about meeting your audience where they are. Okay, but let's tackle a tricky one. What about those of us with global audiences? Finding one time that works for everyone across different time zones feels impossible.
It's definitely a challenge. The article suggested kind of a two-part approach. If you have to pick a single time for a live session, focus on the majority of your audience. You can't please everyone, but you can at least try to reach the bulk of your people.
Right, but what about those who miss out because of the time zone lottery? We don't want them to feel left out.
And that's where part two comes in, on-demand webinars. Record it once, and it's accessible to anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Oh, that's huge. It's like the gift of knowledge that keeps on giving.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already thinking that probably plays really well into lead generation too.
Absolutely. They talked about that in the article. On-demand webinars can be super effective for capturing leads. You can offer the content in exchange for an email address, maybe even like a bonus Q&A for those who sign up.
Win-win. I love it. Having that on-demand option is great, but I feel like live webinars still have their place.
Oh, absolutely.
There's something about that real-time energy, right?
For sure, that live connection is something you just can't replicate.
So for those of us still riding the live webinar wave, I was really interested to see what LiveWebinar had to say about picking the best days and times to actually maximize those live attendees.
And did their data line up with what you were expecting?
Okay, so Thursdays came out on top.
Thursday's interesting.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that too. You'd think it'd be like a Monday or Tuesday when everyone's fresh and raring to go.
Right at the beginning of the week?
Yeah.
Well, they actually kind of dive into the psychology behind it a little bit. Like, on Mondays, we're all still dragging ourselves back into work mode. And by Friday, let's be honest, everyone's already checked out mentally.
Yeah.
But midweek, particularly Thursdays, we hit that sweet spot. We're in a groove, we're productive, but we're also ready for something new.
Oh, I like that.
That pre-weekend energy, but without the Monday fog.
Okay, so we've got our winning day Thursday. Now for the big question, what time should we actually hit send on those invites?
All right, get ready for this one because this one threw me for a loop. The data showed that the best time slots are actually before and after lunch.
Before and after lunch, really? I feel like that's always been the big no-no, like everyone's either starving or in a food coma.
Exactly. You'd think so, right? But think about it, right in the heart of the workday, most people are slammed, they're in meetings, their heads down on projects, but those pre- and post-lunch slots, they offer a little breathing room. People are looking for a mental break, a chance to learn something new before they have to dive back into their to-do lists.
Like a perfect little window to capture their attention.
Exactly. And the article actually pinpointed 11 a.m. as a particularly effective time.
11 a.m.
Right before that lunch break hits.
Interesting. Of course, we always have to keep those time zones in mind, though, right? Especially for those of us with a global audience.
Yeah.
Not everyone can make an 11 a.m. webinar, no matter how much they might want to.
That's very true. And that's why this data is really more of a guideline than like a hard and fast rule.
So how do we take these broader insights and then actually get really specific and strategic about our own webinar timing?
Well, the article suggested a couple of things. First, look at your own data. When have you seen the highest engagement for your past webinars? Are there any patterns there?
I like it. Look for those clues.
Exactly. And then don't underestimate the power of simply asking your audience what works best for them.
Oh, I love it. A quick poll in your newsletter, maybe even a dedicated survey.
Exactly. Just showing that you value their time goes a long way. You know, we're thinking about doing a webinar on this topic. What time would work best for you?
It's all about that collaboration, right?
Yeah,
Finding that sweet spot that benefits everyone.
absolutely.
So we're not just picking a time on a whim.
No, not at
We're
all.
using data to make smart decisions.
Right. It's all about being strategic.
And then the best part, we're going straight to the source.
Mhm.
We're asking our audience, hey, what works best for you?
Exactly. And that makes such a difference.
It's like we're creating this awesome experience before the webinar even starts.
Absolutely. People really appreciate that too. Like you're actually thinking about their needs.
And at the end of the day, that's what we want, right?
For sure.
We want people to show up feeling excited and ready to engage.
Not feeling like they're squeezing something into an already jam-packed day.
And I think by combining these data-driven insights with what we're learning directly from our audiences, that's how we create webinars that don't just, exist. They actually thrive.
They become those can't-miss events.
Yes. So listener, as you're planning your next webinar, remember, you're not alone in this journey. We're all figuring this out together.
Absolutely. We're all experimenting and learning as we go.
And if you've discovered any magic formulas or time-tested strategies, we want to hear about them. What's worked best for your webinars? What have you learned from your audience? Head over to social media and let's keep this conversation going.
Because the best insights often come from sharing experiences.
Absolutely. And until next time, happy webinaring.